Hey guys, welcome back to channel traintrue. My name is Mako and today is the beginning of our informative series. I'm going to do the overhead press. Now I'm not the best at the overhead press, but I'm not bad at it. I feel like I focused on it for a couple of years, picked up a few specific strategies, techniques along the way. So I'll be sharing the 5 most critical steps to the OHP, and today we're going to keep it very simple. Alright, so those 5 steps would be number 1, the grip, number 2, the breathing and bracing, 3, the unrack, 4, finding your feet, and 5, the press itself. Alright, so number 1, the grip. This is actually a very important part of the overhead press. And similar to the bench press, you can't just grab the bar wherever you feel instinctively comfortable. First of all, you want to keep in mind the power rings. Now on bench press, normally I would go quite wide. I actually do a maximum grip with index finger on this ring. But you definitely don't want to do that on the overhead press. You're probably going to go much closer to the center of the bar, probably where the knurling begins. Maybe we might have some differences in bar lengths, but generally if I line myself up with the bar, my shoulder will begin right around the knurling. And I want to find the most comfortable, most powerful position with my grip. So the width will probably, for me, be something along the lines of right here. So maybe like 3 or 4 centimeters past into the knurling. Usually you want to memorize your most comfortable grip. So if you look there, right around there. The thing is, people are all quite different. So what is the best grip width? It's dependent on your body. So if you grip it much more narrow, when you press, you're going to have to put your elbows much more forward in your starting position. Now if you go wider, obviously if I spread my arms, my elbows will go less forward and more to the side. And the goal here is to stack the wrist and the elbow. So if you have a narrow grip, probably because your triceps are stronger, make sure you grip it so that you're stacking your joints here to here. But if you go wider, same idea, your elbows will go less forward, but I still have to stack the joints, so my wrist should still be stacked, so I'll have to start around there instead of like this. Alright, so my most powerful position, because I have a relatively strong chest, I want to take advantage of that, and I have good thoracic extension. So I'm trying to get a little bit of my upper chest into the starting position. So I start not wide, but like I would say a very medium grip around here. Okay. And again, you can't just grip it there. So I've done this part. The next step is to find a little bit of an internal rotation. So internal rotation is when your hands go like this. External is when your hands go out like this. Okay. So on the overhead press, just like bench press, a little bit of internal rotation is good. That way I can kind of stack my joints a little bit better. If I internal rotate, my joints get stacked more like this. If I external rotate, my arms will kind of unnaturally go forward like this, and the joints won't be stacked for me anymore. And then how do I internally rotate? Well, just kind of common sense. You want to turn your thumbs a little bit inward. All right, kind of squeeze it into the space between your thumb and index fingers. Rotate, and then grab the bar. So when you place the bar, it won't be like this, it'll be more like this. Not like this, more like this. Alright, another thing for grip is not just the internal rotation, but the type. So some people will have a suicide grip or a thumbless grip that goes like this. Either way, you still want to have a little internal rotation if you can. And some people will have the thumbs around grip. I think that's much safer. And I actually have in between. So I actually place my thumb on the bar at first when I'm setting up. I internally rotate it a little bit. So in fact, my thumb will only go a little in front instead of wrapping completely around. So in the end, my thumb looks more like this. I do that so I can internally rotate it properly and also be safe at the same time. All right, so step number 2 would be the breathing and bracing. Why does this come before the other steps? because you have to actually breathe and brace even before you unrack the bar. And we're gonna end up using that breathing, bracing based on the first breath all the way until the press. So we're actually gonna breathe, bring it out in one breath, and press all on the same breath. For bracing, after you've gotten your grip all set up, so I got my width, I got my internal rotation, got my thumbs in front of the bar. So here, you have to take a very big breath into, and this is kind of the weird part, you don't take your breath into your stomach so much, kind of take it into your chest a bit like the bench, because you want to get upper back rounding. So upper back rounding would look like this, right? So you can see my chest, it's not wide open like the bench, I still have to flex my abs, but I do want to get this upper back rounding right here. In order to do that, breathing into the chest area is simpler. So I'm going to take my big breath, and don't take a little shallow breath. The big mistake I see is that a lot of people just go like, I can't even hear it. It's like a tiny little whisper. Sometimes I can't even hear them breathe at all. That means they're doing it wrong. I should be able to hear you breathing from halfway across the room. So when I breathe, I kind of have this weird ritual. I kind of shake back and forth to open my rib cage more. I go like this. Now, why do I do that? My ribs are opening. I'm getting as much air into my chest as possible. That's why I kind of shake back and forth to make sure my ribs are open and that my scapula is retracted. Get pretty close, right? Something just comfortable. Notice the position right here. Low enough that I can just pick up the bar by standing and walk out without hitting it. Breathe. Scapular retraction to get upper back extension. And then you want to make sure that your abs are tight too. So although you're going to open your ribs when you take that initial first breath, after that breath, after you got as much air into your lungs as possible, you do want to make sure you tighten your abs so that your ribs not are totally down, but at least closed. So difference here, ribs open. Now I'm going to flex my abs. Now, reason for that is safety, and I want to make my upper body as solid as possible. Safety because if you keep your ribs open too much, you might put a little bit too much tension on your lower back here. But if you flex your abs, there'll be stability. Big breath, open the ribs. Then I squeeze my scapula back, tighten my abs, and that's where I'm going to lead to the next step, the unrack. Okay, so now on to step number 3. My scapula back, rib cage down, and now unrack. Now there are 2 ways to unrack. I'll show you my preferred method first. Some of you might not be able to do this because of mobility. I prefer to unrack it with the weight on my upper chest. All right, so you can see the bar is actually touching me, and I'm not actually putting any big tension on my shoulders. So I'm not trying to carry the weight with my shoulders or my triceps. I'm actually picking it up with 99% of the weight just on my upper chest, right below the collarbone. So you can go higher, you can go on top of the collarbone, as close to the neck as possible, or right below it. Then you have to get yourself under the bar, but as you're doing it, you want to be pulling down. So I'm actually using my lats to pull down on the bar while I'm holding my breath. And then I bring my whole body in fully braced form under. I touch where I want to lift off. And at that point, again, I'm pulling the bar down. So the weight is all on my upper chest. Then I just flex my quads, lift up, and then, still on the first breath, you want to walk it out. When you walk it out, don't waste steps. Remember, you're holding your breath. That means you want to get out and press as quickly as possible. So sometimes 1 step is all you want to take. Sometimes you just want to go 1, 2, and that's it. If you're more coordinated, you actually can set up with your feet a little bit farther here, and then unrack it, and then use your leverage to just move back with your feet not moving, and you just press right here. That way you're wasting no energy at all. So method number 2, because some people don't have the mobility to start here, right? Some of you maybe only have the mobility to unrack with the bar hovering. I don't prefer this method because I do feel like when you're unracking the bar in this position, your triceps are loaded and so are your shoulders. That means I'm leaking energy right now unless I press this as quickly as I can. So it's not wrong. I'm just saying if you can, I think it's better to start all the way at the bottom. Keep in mind, this is mostly an accessory movement. So that means you want to have full range of motion if possible. So the point is, I'm not trying to cheat reps here and reduce range of motion. But if you have to do that, you can't load or pull down on your lats because obviously the bar will just be stuck there. So same idea, big brace. Open the ribs, then ribs down, pull down on your lats. But at this point, you will have to load your triceps because maybe you can't touch the bar to your chest. And then, same as before, unrack. And if possible, take only one step backward. So I'll just go like this. Then I'll press it from right here. If you have the correct bar path, you shouldn't be hitting your rack anyway. Now on to step 4, which would be finding your feet. So let's just quickly run through it. 1, I got my grip. 2, I got my breathing bracing. 3, I'm gonna do the unrack. Step out, maybe one, and now I gotta find my feet. Now you gotta do this very quickly because again, you're holding your breath. So if you look at my feet right now, they're relatively pointed outward, so I'm not like this, I'm more so like this. And in order to flex my glutes, that's why I point my toes outward, similar to a squat. So at this point, still holding my breath, I found my feet. You can go wider if you want. Sometimes when I'm doing like a 1RM, I want to be even more stable, so I go a little bit wider. But normally I would have a regular like squat stance for me. Then there are 3 things you want to flex here: quads, abs, glutes. So not in that order, just all at the same time. You want to not have soft knees. 100% quads locked out, glutes flexed, abs tight. Why do you want to flex all of those? Well, first of all, it's not a push press, so you shouldn't be bending your knees anyway. But the reason we're flexing everything is that I can transfer all my power to the bar. If my abs are weak, I'll move around like this. If my quads are weak, I'll be moving like this. If my glutes are weak, I'll probably have too much lower back extension, and that could cause some pain. All right, so now that I'm in this final position, I've done the first 4 steps. Obviously, I have to press it. Now keep in mind, I'm talking to you, but I am supposed to be holding my breath from way in the beginning. I'm still on just 1 breath. So here, everything's flexed, everything's tight, and of course I'm gonna press. But in order to press, the biggest key is try to push your head through as soon as possible. So as soon as the bar goes here, I know that I could push my head forward and get better leverage. Now the bar is more over the center of my foot, the most powerful position. So again, from here, when I press, keep it close to the face and head through as soon as possible. You can actually see it grazes my hair. Now if you have hair like mine or any hair that can touch the bar, if you feel it touching your hair, that means you did it perfectly. Doesn't mean you have to. Some of you have very short hair, or you're bald, or have your hair tied back. Maybe that's not possible, but at least think in your head, as soon as possible, push your head through. All right, guys, now that we've done all 5 steps, let me just show you, without talking, my run through of the whole thing from beginning to end. Find my grip, internal rotation, get close. Big breath. Alright guys, so that closes out just the first 5 basic steps of the overhead press. But I'm going to be going into much more advanced videos on the overhead press next time. We're probably going to have a 3-part series. So today will be the basics, 2 would be the advanced steps, and 3 would be things like programming, accessories, and other things you can do to build your shoulders. Alright, I'll see you guys next time. Remember, if you like this video, please like, please subscribe, hit that bell. In the comments down below, let us know what you want to know more about. If you got questions on the OHP, I'll try my best to answer them, but stay tuned for that next advanced series.